rain came down in thick ropes, turning the front porch into a pretend shelter. Grace Caldwell gripped 2 tired suitcases. Her fingers, creased from a lifetime of soap and hot water, trembled, not from cold, but from disbelief. Her 3 grown children stood just inside, under the dry roof like impatient customers waiting for someone to clear an unwanted plate. "We've talked about this, Mom," said Marina, hair pulled tight, voice stiff as a stuck drawer. "The house is ours now. You need to go." Grace lifted her face. She didn't cry. Tears, she had learned, were bills you paid later. The blue-bead bracelet on her right wrist, her husband's gift on their first anniversary, caught the light for 1 second before the wet sleeve swallowed it. She took a step as if the floor might answer. It didn't. Memories did. Brick by brick. The smell of cement. Her husband laughing the day the first window slid into place. The cast-iron pot boiling beans for the neighbors who came to help. A home raised with hands, promises, and silence. Children. Her voice was small and steady. "Where am I supposed to go?" Michael adjusted a blazer that didn't belong in a neighborhood like this. "You're an adult, Mom. You've got neighbors, people you know." He checked a gold watch as if the morning charged late fees. Julia didn't speak. She bit her lip and stared at the floor. That silence, Grace knew, the kind that asks forgiveness but still hands you the knife. Wind swept through the kitchen. A dish towel on a hook fluttered and stilled. Grace turned off the stove, unplugged the kettle. Her whole world fit into gestures like that. She climbed the stairs slowly, one hand on the rail, the other batting away memories. In the bedroom, she opened the closet and found the small wooden box, the one that kept papers from the past she refused to let become the present. She touched the lid, didn't open it. Not now. She tucked the box into a suitcase, folded simple clothes, smoothed a nightgown as if tenderness could live inside seams. Flashback, short and bright. Marina at 18, accepted to college. Grace, hands still smelling of fabric, hugging her daughter at the gate. "I found a way," she said, and Marina ran, believing in miracles, not prices paid. The blue bracelet brushed her wedding band and made a small sound. It rained that day too, but it was a joyful rain. This storm pushed. Back to now. The stairs felt longer. Grace carried the suitcases. In the hallway, she leaned against the wall and breathed. With each breath came a certainty. A house is made of people, not paperwork. Her children waited in the living room. 6 o'clock, Michael repeated. "And don't leave a mess," Marina added. The words cut through Grace like a cold draft. She lifted the suitcases. The bracelet slid, the cord stretched, almost snapped. At the door, she paused and looked at the room. The patchwork couch she'd sewn, the curtain she'd hung one Sunday while her kids napped on the rug, her husband's photo on the shelf. Everything too quiet. "One day you'll understand," she said, not angry. "Not what you lost." "Who?" She stepped into the rain. The first hit felt like needles. The second felt like truth. The house behind her shrank, and so did her children. Marina folded her arms like she was closing a case file. Michael lit a cigarette the rain put out. Julia took half a step. Only half. The dirt road dissolved into mud. Grace tucked her head between shoulder and suitcase like she had on all those grocery trips with heavy bags and thin change. Wind flipped the hem of her skirt. The bracelet clicked against the bone of her wrist. Tick-tock, a memory clock. With every step, a thought tried to unravel her. Go back and beg. Shout. Promise you won't be a burden. She didn't turn back. Love that learns to beg loses its voice. Microcycle 1. Problem, solution, new problem. Problem, a body that's tired. Solution, maybe, Mrs. Connie, the longtime neighbor. A hot coffee and a dry towel. New problem. A flash flood carved the dirt road into a trench. Her foot sank to the ankle. Shock yanked her heart into her throat. The right suitcase slipped, smacked a puddle, splashed her face. Grace gave a short laugh, the sound of someone who's seen worse, and kept going. Flashback, Michael as a boy with a high fever. Midnight. Grace shook the thermometer, prayed under her breath, cooled a towel in the sink. Her husband, eyes red with worry, held their son's hand. At sunrise, the fever broke. No one saw the mother change out of wet clothes before waking him for school. The blue bracelet hung on a nail in the kitchen that day. Beads and damp skin don't mix. The sky darkened. Grace's vision went blurry for real this time. The past's letters felt heavy, ready to fall. She stopped, tugged off a shoe, yanked her ankle from the mud. The dirt clung like old debt. Wind shifted and slapped her face. She bent. Her back confessed more years than her ID. Breathed. Went on. She pictured showing up at Mrs. Connie's door, soaked and small, with suitcases at her feet. Old shame pricked at her. Dignity is sometimes the last dry shirt you own. Microcycle 2. Problem. Solution. New problem. Problem. Arms burning. Solution. Maybe. Throw the suitcase strap over a shoulder to share the load. New problem. The strap snapped. The sound was small, but her whole body heard it. The bracelet caught the strap, snapped too, and beads spilled into the mud like a broken piece of sky. Grace dropped to her knees and pinched up 2, 3, 4, then stopped. Looked at her bare wrist, breathed, left the rest for the rain to carry. Energy that stays is the kind you carry inside, she told herself. Plain words, just enough to keep walking. Back on the porch, Marina watched their mother grow smaller. Her phone buzzed. Text from the realtor. Tomorrow 10 a.m. She typed, "Okay, tasting metal cold relief." Julia whispered, "Are we right?" The rain swallowed the whisper. Michael tried to remember a single time his mother asked for something expensive. He pictured the tux for his graduation, the way she measured the hem with a cloth tape like a blessing. He remembered feeling embarrassed by her simple dress in that grand auditorium. The memory bit hard. Grace kept on. The mud smelled like her childhood, chasing chickens, not knowing the price of electricity. Wind shoved from the side. She closed her eyes and saw her husband on the front step, jeans stained with paint, laughing at something she can't recall. That laugh was shelter. She opened her eyes. The rain, faithful, did not stop. Microcycle 3. Problem, solution, new problem. Problem, dizziness swelling, a hum in her ears. Solution, maybe, sit 1 minute under the twisted fig at the curve in the road. New problem, a thunderclap so close the tree turned into a threat. Fear made her stand too fast. The world went black for a second longer than usual. Her knees failed. Her cheek hit mud. A wooden thud inside the suitcase, the box. She tried to say not now, but her voice wouldn't come. She lay face down, rain running over her eyes and past her mouth. Salt and dirt. On the far side of a low fence, a dog barked, curious. In a distant house, a yellow bulb flipped on. A gate creaked. Footsteps threaded through rain. A warm hand found her shoulder. A voice, low and simple. "Easy, ma'am, I've got you." She couldn't see him. She felt arms turning her gently, a plastic cover thrown over the suitcases, the careful movements of someone who didn't learn care in school. She thought to say, "my children," but the word "children" weighed too much. The word "life" came easier. She closed her eyes. The hum faded like a storm deciding to show mercy. Back at the porch, Marina took one step down. Julia caught her arm. "Marina." The older sister pulled free but didn't move. The sky churned. The realtor pinged 10 a.m. again. Michael ground the dead cigarette under his heel. All three hearts kept a rhythm that did not admit confession. On the road, the shadow lifted Grace with care. "My wife knows what to do," the voice said, still unnamed. "You're going to be okay." Grace tried to open her eyes and couldn't. She felt the idea of a warm stove, a blanket, the clean smell of homemade soap that didn't exist yet and somehow already did. The bracelet was gone. Her wrist felt light, and it hurt in a good way, the ache of something finally put down. Before she fully passed out, she caught the man's collar by reflex and thought, without thinking, "Maybe I'm not so alone." Thunder moved off. A gate groaned. Rain rattled on a tin roof. The story took its first deep breath. When Grace woke, rain was no longer a threat. It was a distant melody tapping a tin roof. Her body was heavy, but the warmth of the blanket felt like home, one she hadn't known in a long time. Floral curtains let in a shy ray of sun. The room smelled like fennel tea and laundry soap. A woman's voice came before the face. "Easy there. You're weak. Sip this." Grace opened her eyes. A middle-aged woman, good face, eyes that knew other people's pain and still chose to smile, offered a steaming mug. "Where am I?" Grace rasped. "In my house," the woman said. "I'm Lucy. My husband found you on the road." She tugged the blanket higher. "You fainted. Feeling better?" Grace sipped. The tea singed her tongue and warmed her chest. "Better. Thank you. Rest as long as you need," Lucy said, settling on the bed's edge, apron still damp from last night's rain. "Nobody's in a hurry here." The words stroked Grace like a hand through hair. Nobody's in a hurry. At home, her kids always were. She closed her eyes. Marina's face returned, cold, impatient. Michael with the gold watch. Julia's downcast gaze. The pain returned, deeper than her body could hold. Lucy noticed. "Want to tell me what happened?" Grace shook her head. "Just family trouble. I had to leave." Lucy didn't press. She nodded and, "I understand," and stood. "Rest. I'll bring soup later. My husband, Anthony, will be glad to see you awake." When Lucy left, Grace watched the wooden ceiling, trying to understand where fate had set her down. A humble house with the smell of dignity. The kind you can't buy, only build. Days passed slowly, as if time itself had mercy. Grace regained strength by degrees, helping with small things, washing dishes, mending hems, sweeping the back porch. Sometimes she sat on the steps and watched copper-colored sunsets drip through the Blue Ridge foothills. Anthony was a quiet man, calloused hands, short, honest smile. He worked at a nearby farm and came home each evening with the calm in his voice of someone who owed life nothing and took nothing that wasn't his. He didn't ask much. He always greeted Grace with respect. One night after dinner, while Lucy put away the pots, Grace looked at her 2 suitcases in the corner. The wooden box slept inside one, a restless secret. Her heart thumped. She got up, lifted it out, brushed dust with her fingertips. The lid creaked, like it remembered too. Inside, yellowed photographs, newspaper clippings, documents, On top, a photograph of a poised young woman in an expensive dress standing before a mansion. Beside her, a distinguished couple, her parents. Grace went still. Tears arrived without permission. Lucy appeared in the doorway with a lamp. "Mrs. Grace, you okay?" Grace wiped fast. "I'm fine. Old memories." Lucy stepped closer, saw the photo, and raised her eyebrows. "That's you? My word, you were gorgeous." "And that house?" "It was where I was born," Grace said softly. "A world that isn't mine anymore." "You were wealthy?" "I was, until I chose love." Silence, weighty and true. Lucy sat beside her, careful. "Want to tell me?" Grace studied the photo. "My parents arranged a marriage with a businessman. Everything set, a perfect life. But I fell in love with a farmhand from one of our properties. When they found out, they gave me a choice. Leave him or leave home with nothing. I chose love and never looked back." "That must have been hard," Lucy said. "It was, but it was beautiful too. We had a simple, happy life. I raised 3 kids. I worked until my hands ached. I never regretted it. Until they put me out." Lucy laid a hand over hers. "Don't say that. Children fail. Life finds a way to teach." Grace shook her head, eyes bright. "They didn't fail from ignorance. They chose themselves. That's what hurts." Next morning, while they hung laundry, Anthony came up the path, face lit by news. "Lucy, you see the paper? The Caldwells in the city, both passed, left a massive estate." Grace froze. The name struck like lightning. "Caldwell?" she repeated, hiding the tremor in her voice. "You knew him?" he asked. "A long time ago." She went inside, heart racing. She sat at the table, opened the box again, and pulled an envelope she'd avoided. The old stamp read, "Caldwell family, private." Her hands shook. Inside, a letter. "Dear Grace, if this finds you, know we never stopped looking. Our repentance came late, but it came. We want to see you, ask forgiveness, and set right what we broke. We have left you what is yours by right. We love you. Augustus and Victoria." Tears splashed and blurred the ink. Lucy stood in the doorway as Grace looked up, face wet. "They forgave me, Lucy. My parents forgave me." Lucy covered her mouth, moved to her side. "That's a blessing. Maybe it's your turn too." Grace looked toward the horizon where the sun was trying. Forgiveness, she thought, is like daylight, slow, but it does arrive. Across town, Marina stared at her mother's empty living room. Boxes stacked like witnesses. Michael argued with a realtor on the phone. Julia wiped tears in the corner. A black sedan rolled up and threw dust. A careful man stepped out with a leather portfolio. "Good afternoon. I'm looking for Mrs. Grace Caldwell." The siblings traded looks. "Caldwell?" Marina said. "You've got the wrong address. Our mother is Grace Silva." He smiled, patient. "Her legal name is Caldwell. I'm the family attorney. This is about an inheritance." Inheritance sucked the oxygen out of the room. Michael choked on his sentence. Julia covered her mouth. Marina went pale. The attorney went on, steady, like a man who'd seen families collapse with less. "Your grandparents died recently. They left everything to your mother. Property, stock, investments, a fortune of roughly $20 million. Silence. Marina's heart hammered. 20 million. The mother they'd forced out for being a burden was an heiress. Julia wept for real. Michael took a step back, trying to understand what fate had just thrown in his face. The attorney gathered his papers. Please contact your mother. It's urgent. She has documents to sign. When the sedan rolled away, the dust took its time settling. The three stood there, unsure whether to scream or pray. Marina spoke first. We have to find her. Now. Michael nodded. Before she sees who we really are. Julia, head swollen with guilt, whispered, She'll see, Michael. And when she does, I don't know if she'll ever want to see us again. Outside, the rain returned in a fine veil, as if the sky knew this story wasn't over. The attorney's dust hadn't settled before regret began to sting. Marina gripped his card like a verdict. Michael paced the bare room, bumping boxes labeled Mom, Kitchen, Mom, Linens. Julia opened one, pulled a dish towel with a crooked stitch, and broke. She recognized the hurried seam of a woman sewing at midnight. 20 million, Michael said, testing the sound. We threw her out, and she… Don't, Marina cut in, voice raw. Not now. Her phone buzzed again. Realtor confirming a 10 a.m. showing. Marina typed cancel, then erased it. Pride still wanted air. Microcycle. Problem. Solution. New problem. Problem. They must find Grace. Solution. Maybe. Call everyone. New problem. No one answers. No one knows. For hours they combed her little blue notebook, names and numbers scrawled in pen. Mrs. Connie, Greengate. Mr. Adler, Garden. Jonah's Pharmacy. Every call came back the same. Haven't seen her. It poured yesterday. She passed by last week. Seemed fine. As the afternoon shrank, they turned to the one person who always seemed to know more than she let on. Mrs. Connie. She stood at her gate in a floral apron, eyes that had watched storm after storm. Have you seen our mother? Marina asked without preface. Mrs. Connie measured their souls. I saw you send her into a downpour. Saw her fall in the mud. Saw you three on the porch, dry. Julia dropped her gaze. Michael stepped forward. We need to find her. We learned. You learned about money, she said, not raising her voice. What good is money in a heart that doesn't know gratitude? Marina inhaled. A sob stuck sideways. Did you know about her parents? I did. Years ago. She told me, asked me to keep it. Said you had to learn the price of small things. Did you? Nobody answered. The neighbor nodded toward the house. You want to learn? Look properly. The house speaks. They re-entered like a chapel. Mrs. Connie opened a sideboard drawer with the ease of someone who'd quietly tended the woman who owned it. She pulled a stack of notebooks and a manila folder. She recorded everything, every penny, every trade-off. The pages, cramped in tidy script, burned in their eyes. Skipped my lunch, kids ate. Sold my earring, Michael's medicine. No sleep, Marina's exam, new uniform. Julia brushed the margins as if her mother's old sweat still lived there. Mrs. Connie opened the folder. Receipts for loans. Everyone stamped paid in red. For your wedding, Julia. She borrowed, payment by payment. She didn't want you starting life ashamed of your day. Julia sat on the floor and cried. Michael went white, leaning on the wall. And her ring? Sold so you could open your office, Mrs. Connie said gently, a blade wrapped in cotton. And the last of her wedding jewelry? For Marina's college. Those were the final things of market value. The value of her heart she gave long before. Silence filled the room like an empty house. Microcycle. Problem. Solution. New problem. Problem. Guilt suffocates. Solution. Maybe. Apologize now. New problem. They don't know where she is. Michael grabbed his keys. "We'll drive. Clinic, hospital, police. If she fell, someone saw." "Wait," said Mrs. Connie, retrieving a tiny wooden box from the back of a cabinet. Inside, a small pile of blue beads, crusted with dry mud. "Found these by the road this morning. Thought someone dropped them. Then I remembered her bracelet." The beads glittered in her palm, sky broken into dots. Julia covered her mouth around a gasp. Marina took one bead, closed it in her fist like a prayer. "You pushed your mother out," Mrs. Connie said, softer now. "Now it's time to learn to serve. Go look, yes. But when you find her, don't bring a wallet. Bring the truth." The next day, the attorney returned. Another morning, another black sedan. Marina opened the gate before he could honk. "Any news?" Michael asked. "None. But I reviewed documents all night." He set a heavy folder on the empty table. "There are things you should know. They say more about her than any sum." He flipped old reports. Twice, private investigators located Grace. Twice she asked not to be contacted, said she was happy as she was, and... He drew out an envelope. "Letters from your grandparents, apologies that never reached her. And drafts she wrote, never sent." Julia raced to her mother's room and came back with a box hidden under the bed frame. Dozens of letters carefully folded. Marina read the first, hands shaking. "Dear Mom and Dad, today marks 10 years since I left home. I don't regret it. I don't have much, but I have love. My husband is good. My children are healthy. I miss you. If you ever want to see me, I'll be here. Grace." Marina's voice cracked on, "I miss you." Michael took a newer one. "Dear both, if you are reading this, it means I have gone. I forgive you. I hope you forgave me. My children are my greatest wealth." Michael covered his face and wept without armor. The attorney waited in the silence like a judge presiding over grief. "And one more thing," he said at last. "Your grandparents left a condition. She must be free to do whatever she wants with it. That tells you what they learned. Late." "They changed," Julia whispered. "Sometimes life teaches by loss," he said, packing up. "Sometimes it gives a second chance. Don't waste yours." At the door he paused. "By the way, I drove that road yesterday. Saw drag marks and a trail of blue beads." Marina closed her eyes. The bead in her pocket felt heavy as stone. Microcycle. Problem. Solution. New problem. Problem. Clues on the road. Solution. Maybe follow the trail. New problem. Rain erased most of it. Clouds gathered again, but they went anyway. Marina drove slow, eyes sweeping the shoulder. Michael cupped the little bag of beads. Julia whispered, "Mom, wait for us," like a hymn. At the twisted fig curve, they saw a deeper groove in the hardened mud. Julia knelt, touched the earth. A single blue bead winked from the dirt. She smiled through tears. Here. She was here. They walked a stretch. Hair caught on a fence, maybe from a jacket. Farther along, double footprints, larger, as if someone had carried her. Hope swelled. With it, a new fear. What if help came too late? Night fell without answers. They drove home emptied out but holding one fierce certainty. Someone had taken her in. At the gate, Mrs. Connie stood with folded arms. "I prayed," she said simply. "Life can still be good to you, if you are good to it." Marina nodded. "We will be." They spent the night making a plan. Clinics, shelters, churches, gas stations along the highway. Michael wrote a promise on a scrap of paper and read it aloud. "When I find you, I'll listen. I won't defend myself." Julia printed simple flyers with her mother's photo, hoping they'd never need tape. Marina laid the bead on the table and nudged it against their father's picture. "Help us," she told the quiet. Before dawn, the phone rang. They froze. Marina answered, voice trapped in her throat. "Hello? This the home of Mrs. Grace?" A man's voice, gentle fatigue, country in his vowels. "I'm Anthony. Found her on the road. My wife Lucy is looking after her." Marina clutched the phone with both hands. "Is she okay?" "She is. Weak, but okay." A pause. "She asked us not to call you, said not to trouble you, but I think you ought to hear that from her mouth." "Please," Julia cried. "We'll come careful. We just want to look her in the eye and ask forgiveness." He exhaled, weighing pros and cons like grain sacks. "I'll send the address. Come today. No rush, but come. And come light. Don't bring explanations. Bring respect." The line clicked. In the hush that followed, the three of them held each other like people on a muddy slope. The blue bead in the center of the table watched like an eye. Rain started again, fine, patient, like the sky saying, "I can wait while you learn." Morning arrived with fog, the kind that hides the destination until courage gets there first. Marina drove slow along the back road. Every curve was a memory, every rock, a guilt. Michael stared out the window, red-eyed and wordless. Julia prayed under her breath, fingers threaded tight. The address led to a small house rimmed with hydrangeas and a wooden gate. From a distance they saw a leaf-strewn roof, a trembly clothesline. A dog barked, curious but not mean. When they pulled in, Lucy was already on the porch, clean apron, steady gaze. "I knew you'd come," she said. "She's awake but tired. Enter with your hearts open, or don't enter." Michael nodded. Marina breathed deep. Julia stepped first. Gravel underfoot sounded like confession. Grace sat in a chair, wrapped in a beige shawl, pale but peaceful. The look she lifted to them wasn't shock or anger. It belonged to someone who had waited too long. "Mom," Julia tried. The word broke. "My children," Grace said, folding her hands. The quiet that followed felt almost holy. Microcycle, problem, solution, new problem. Problem, fear of forgiveness. Solution, maybe, words. New problem, words aren't enough. Michael stepped forward. "Mom, we learned everything. You, the inheritance, and we..." She raised a hand. "Don't talk about money. Money isn't what you lost." Marina cried openly. "We were blind, Mom. We thought you were weight. You were the foundation." Grace looked toward the stubborn sun fighting through fog. "I always said a house is made of people. When you put me out, it collapsed." Lucy hovered back. Anthony brought 2 chairs. "Sit, Mrs. Grace. Let them talk." She shook her head. "They need to listen first." Julia dropped to her knees and clutched the edge of the shawl. "I can't sleep. I see you in that rain, soaked, with your bags. If I could go back..." Grace laid a hand on her daughter's hair. "If you could go back, you wouldn't learn to walk. Life trips us for a reason." Michael swallowed. "Can you forgive us?" Grace smiled, a small, tired smile. "Forgiveness isn't a prize, son. It's medicine. I had to take mine before you got here." Microcycle, problem, solution, new problem, problem, longing for absolution. Solution, maybe, a sincere plea. New problem, their mother won't pretend to forget. Grace stood slowly, steadying herself on the chair arm, and walked to the garden. Hydrangeas bobbed, blue as the beads the rain had carried off. Lucy said you'd come. I dreamt it too. I saw your father smiling. He always believed you'd learn what real love is. Marina wiped her face. Let us take care of you now, Mom. Grace turned firm and tender. I don't need you to take care of me. I need you to take care of yourselves. She nodded toward the road. The same path that brought me here is open to you. It's not punishment. It's a chance. Anthony came close and set something in her palm, a cleaned, dry blue bead. Found this by the fence the day it rained. Grace studied it, then held out her hand to Marina. Open. Marina obeyed. Grace placed the bead in her daughter's palm. This is what's left of the bracelet your father gave me. It's worth nothing and everything. Keep it to remember. Love isn't decoration. It's the knot that holds when the world comes loose. Michael and Julia stepped in. The sun slid through the fog, warming the yard. Grace drew in the smell of Lucy's soap and wet earth. Microcycle. Problem. Solution. New problem. A fragile reconciliation. Solution. Maybe a symbol. New problem. Pride still twitches. Marina tried a shaky smile. Mom, the inheritance. The attorney said it's all yours. We don't want $1. Grace held her gaze. Neither do I. Pain only heals when it's shared. I want to give half away. The other half is for you, but with a condition. Anything, Michael said too fast. Learn to begin again, Grace said. Put down what weighs. Hold what remains. Money buys houses. It never buys peace. Julia nodded, tears clean now. We've learned, Mom, the hard way. Then maybe it was worth it, Grace said. Lucy swiped a quick tear against her apron. Anthony removed his cap out of respect. The air felt lighter, as if forgiveness had a scent. Grace stepped in and hugged her children. For a long moment, the four of them stood still, breathing the same past and the same future. But even in soft hours, life saves one last test. The attorney appeared at the gate, slightly breathless. Mrs. Caldwell, forgive me. There's one more thing. They turned. Your parents left a letter to be read only with your children present. He unfolded the envelope and read, Grace, if our grandchildren ever hear these words, let them know the true inheritance we leave is their mother's example. If she forgives, forgive. If she loves, learn from her. And if fortune ever shifts, never forget where you came from. He closed the paper. A breeze lifted the sweet smell of hydrangeas. Grace looked at her children. You heard. There's still time. Afternoon went gold. Shadows stretched across the yard. Lucy brought coffee and warm bread. Marina helped. Michael laughed for the first time. Julia scratched the dog's ears. He flopped at Grace's feet. In the middle of the table, the blue bead glowed, small, stubborn, eternal. 3 months passed. The rain returned, but not as a threat, only a memory. Grace stayed with Lucy and Anthony, tending the garden, sewing for neighbors, whispering prayers at dusk. Her heart kept its scars. It beat in peace. Every week the kids called. Short conversations, careful silences, the kind that asks permission to heal. Then, one Sunday morning, Grace chose. Come see me, she said on the phone. All of you, together. They arrived at the same porch, unsure, without the armor of designer clothes or shiny watches. Simple, lighter, almost humble. Lucy poured coffee and disappeared. Anthony watched from the yard, face easy. Grace waited until they sat. An envelope lay on her lap. I went to Mr. Stevens' office, she said. I accepted the inheritance, signed everything. No one breathed. $20 million, she continued without drama. But money is paper. What matters is what it does to the person holding it. Marina lowered her eyes. Michael laced his fingers. Julia bit her lip. So, Grace said, I made some decisions. She pulled 3 pages. First decision, 10 million will build a community hospital, the Victoria and Augustus Clinic, in honor of my parents. Dignity is the minimum people deserve. Julia smiled through tears. Second, 2 million will seed a foundation for women who've lost everything but the courage to begin again. I know that road. Michael nodded, moved. Third, the rest. I divided in 4 equal shares. 2 million each for you and 2 for me. Marina looked up, shocked. Mom, we don't deserve it. I know, Grace said, smiling small. Mothers don't give because children deserve. We give because love doesn't keep score. They cried together. Grace lifted a hand for quiet. Conditions. 3. 1. You don't touch a cent for a year. You're going to work. You will learn to serve. She looked at her eldest. Marina, you'll work in a community kitchen. Serve plates, wash dishes, look hungry people in the eye. I will, Mom. I promise. She turned to Michael. You'll work on a construction crew. Feel the weight of cement, the noon sun, the fatigue of hands that hold up the world. I accept, he said, no hesitation. Finally, to Julia. You'll teach. Volunteer in a neighborhood school. Give what you can to those who never got the chance. Julia smiled, tears bright. It'll be an honor. 2. You'll live together in a small house. Cook, clean, split bills. Learn how little can be enough and how love makes it rich. They nodded. 3. Every Sunday, dinner here. Tell me what you learned. Look me in the eyes. No masks. Marina stood, still crying. You're giving us a chance? I'm giving you what my parents didn't give me, Grace said. The chance to fail and fix it. Can I hug you? Michael asked. She opened her arms. The hug landed heavy with tears and silence. Julia and Marina joined. It was the same embrace from their childhood, only truer. Time moved like a good wind. Marina learned to serve with both hands and her heart. An older woman squeezed her fingers one afternoon and said, "Thank you for treating me with respect." Marina cried in the pantry. Michael mixed mortar and listened to men's stories. One co-worker had done this 30 years to feed 5 kids. Michael finally understood love that never needed a spotlight. Julia taught children to read. When one girl sounded out her first sentence, she squealed and hugged Julia. Both cried. Teaching, Julia discovered, is another shape of love. Every Sunday they returned to Grace's table. Dinner was simple: rice, beans, cornbread, but the talk was full. Grace listened, smiled, watched her children be reborn. A year passed. On the day they could draw the money, none of them chased luxury. Marina opened a pay-what-you-can cafe. Michael launched a builders cooperative that hired people over 50. Julia founded a free learning center. At the opening of the Victoria and Augustus Clinic, Grace cut the ribbon beside Lucy, Anthony, and her children. She glowed, not from wealth, but because her life had become medicine for others. "Thank you for not giving up on us," Marina said, holding her hand. "Mothers don't quit," Grace answered, "even when a child quits first." "Do you regret anything?" Julia asked. Grace thought, "Only not telling you earlier. Maybe if you'd known, you'd have valued the simple more." "If you had told us," Michael said, voice thick, "we would have loved you for the money, not for you. Today we love you for a courage we'd never seen." She nodded. then it was worth it. The sun slid down behind the new clinic. They stood in quiet, watching the sky turn gold. A soft breeze carried the smell of fresh bread and hydrangeas. Grace looked up. "Thank you," she whispered to the evening. "The fortune I longed for was never money. It was them." And that night, in a small house bright with laughter, the love they feared lost found its way back. Because family, she realized, isn't perfect people. It's people who learn to begin again. And love, sometimes, is the most valuable inheritance of all. This story reminds us that true energy comes from within, the kind that renews us every day. If this story touched your heart, check the pinned comment to discover products that inspire renewal and balance. Leave a like and subscribe to join us in our next story.